I didn't check.
Ah.
I will check back in South Korea. We didn't have time.
Maybe it's catching the mic, but who knows?
Yeah, it's watching this thing. Great.
It has a very wide lens.
Finding faith. Your faith is in good hands, and it's great to be with you on the Colour Cruise just after 4 o'clock on the 19th of February. I keep checking, and it's still the 19th. So look at that, all day long, I'm told. In studio with us, we had them yesterday, and I'm pretty excited to have them once again. They've even delayed their plans to stick around for this afternoon show. So a big thanks and a big welcome to our two South Korean missionaries, and they're from South Africa, and now they've been living over there. Well, Lawrence and his lovely wife Michelle. Lawrence has been there about 10 years.
Yes, 10
Michelle
years.
about 1.
Yes.
Oh no, how do you say 1 in
Hannah.
Hannah?
Hannah.
Hannah. Okay. All right. Okay. So, and apparently, I said to you just off air. First of all, when are you going back?
This
Sunday.
coming Sunday.
This coming Sunday.
2 p.m. It's Baba South Africa. Hello Korea.
All right. And Korea. I mean, you're living in Sejong City or Sejong City,
Sejong City, yes.
which is in the middle of South Korea.
Yes.
And what's a typical day like over there? Because you're kind of a pastor, and I'm not too sure what Michelle kind of does over there. So maybe you can talk to us about what a typical day is like in South Korea. What's life like over there?
Well, it's very laid back for us in the morning because we get up, eat breakfast. Now we live next to this beautiful mountain, so you know we have all this little food paths where you can go for walks, and I think it's the biggest man-made lake in
Yes.
South Korea is there. So and they've got shows there. But anyways, normal day in the morning we are not so busy, so we do a lot of online stuff, and that's in the morning. But then after lunch we get busy. So this year I helped the church to start their own school. So we had like 80 students there. Yeah.
Is that teaching Bible, or is that like a primary school? What do you, when you talk about a school?
Now the thing in South Korea is they cannot speak English, so you know they're trying to catch up. So English is the main thing. Now I had these small little kiddies, you know, that I taught ABC phonics up to, you know, kids that are better than me. You know, when it comes to spelling, I still need to check my phone.
Yeah.
You know, now and then, but yeah, so it's from beginners up to high level. Now the thing with this church, it started 5 years ago with 20 people in a shopping mall, and it grew now to 1,500 people.
So you in
yeah.
5 years.
Yes.
So is the Holy Spirit on the move over there? Is things on fire? Because we often hear talk about that. They talk about South Korea, and it's booming.
Yes. Well, the biggest church in the world is also there. It's like 1 million people in that church. Now they've got 10 services on a Sunday morning. So it's like every hour there's the next service, because the building can only host 20,000 people. And
My word.
Sad
if
to
you
say.
go there,
My word.
if you go there, you need to, you know, you actually like kind of line up for the next service, and when the doors open, it's like this stream of people coming down, going sideways, and then they open the doors and you run for the front. And so that's the biggest church in the world is in South Korea, and they can't fit everybody in. I mean, they can only accommodate 20,000 people at a time.
So actually, tongues is actually South Korean, because when I get to heaven, that's the majority of people will be South Koreans.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Better
think
start
so,
learning now.
yes.
Better start learning now.
Now, South Korea is really small. I think it's the size of the Kruger National Park.
Goodness.
I've heard, but we've got 52 million people there.
Which is
So-
about the same as South Africa, so
Yes.
it's really crammed.
Yes. And you ask about the churches. Well, we had a lot of things going on. Well, I say we, so talking about South Korea. But lately, it's very traditional. You know, it's very program-based, all the activities at church. And so we really feel, and a lot of our friends really are praying for revival. For, you know, where the Holy Spirit will just come and take over the programs, you know, the church programs. Well, I've seen powerful things, you know, powerful moves of the Holy Spirit in South Korea, like I've never seen even here in South Africa. But it is when they allow Him, you know, when they make room for God to move. because they are praying every morning 5 a.m.
I've heard
There's
this. They
a
get
prayer
together. There's
service
a
going
prayer
on.
service
Yeah.
every single morning.
And I volunteered at a church a few years ago. I had to sleep in the church, so that I would be there by 4:30, opening the doors, and at 5
Wow.
the doors opened, and then the people, will come for their morning prayer. And then I would just walk in the back because if you sit down, I'm not a morning person, but that's for me the best thing, to just walk and pray.
It raises a little bit of an alarm bell for me, thinking, that we are a little bit complacent when it comes to seeking God and seeking the heart of God. When you tell me a story that every single morning at 5 people are there praying.
The thing with the morning prayer is they get together as a community and they pray for each other's personal problems, but then they also pray for their city that they live in. And so as a community they stand together, and they are very extremely disciplined. So if the bell hits 4:30 a.m.,
They're
the
there.
church is full and they start
there.
praying. And especially with the elder generation, it is the older people, they cannot walk up straight because they're so used to bending their knees in prayer when they
Wow.
go to church. But the younger generation isn't that disciplined because they have young families, so the children cannot attend it with them. And because a lot of children needs to go to primary school, so that's just making it obvious. Mom needs to make breakfast,
Okay.
and dad needs to get up early. So for the elder generation, that is, you do not compromise on the early morning prayer, nothing whatsoever.
Fantastic. All right, so we're talking about life life in South Korea. Obviously, I think a lot of people listening would say we've seen Trump over here making friends with Kim Jong-un in North Korea, as well as the South Korean and the North Korean guys sort of, shaking hands, and for the first time ever wanting to sort of bring down the whole tension between the two nations. Do you experience that? Is there talk about maybe peace? Because we hear about hectic concentration camps for Christians in North Korea, still on open doors, the number one most persecuted nation on the top of the list.
Well, personally, I have seen the Holy Spirit did miraculous things in 1 year between the people, the locals, as they were talking. In the beginning of the year, it was still very hard for them to think that North Korea is honest in their approach. And at the end of the year, they were like, wow, just look how soft his face has gotten. So people saw that, wow, this approach is honest, but they are still praying for North Korea to cut down the walls, spiritual walls, especially for Christians, just to walk in with the Bible and to speak to the elderly and to speak to the younger generations. And I believe all in God's timing, because God's timing causes for miracles to happen, not people. And it's not about the people, it's about God. So all in God's timing, and it's going to be huge. And I want to be there when that gate opens. I want to run in with my Bible, and I want to go and hug everybody, even the president. I want to hug him personally, and I just want to say I love you. That's it.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to break away. We'll come back in a moment, talk a little bit about what life, or some of the religions maybe, and is it easy to share the gospel in South Korea? We're talking to Lawrence and Michelle, who are missionaries over there, and have been for, between them, 11 years? Back in a moment.
1 plus 10.
Talk about skewing statistics, hey? My wife and I collectively are 70.
That's it.
Getting old.
Sure.
You are seniors. Full of wisdom.
Yeah. I need a golden handshake and a watch or something like that. Eh?
How did you end up here?
At Kingfisher.
Yes, or as DJ on radio.
When I was in school, I just liked the idea of being on. They started a little radio station out of a caravan where they played music, and I was just like, that's for me. And then when I went to go and study, I just picked the university with the best radio station, and I went to work for Tux
Okay.
back in the heyday. And then.
So what's your major?
Well, then I didn't know you could study media, so I just studied marketing.
Okay.
Somehow I passed that miraculously. And then after that, I worked there for about 4 or 5 years, and then I worked for Universal Music. So I worked, but I was quite disillusioned, disappointed. It didn't really become what I thought it would be. And then I left for Taiwan, and I was there 5 years. And and then I was like a year and a half in England, and then in that interim I thought, I might as well study teaching, I've been doing it so much, and then I qualified as an intermediate teacher through UNISA, and then I came back and I taught for 2 years, and I felt, just try and come on radio again, I love it. And then through God's grace I actually ended up being a presenter here again, and then left the teaching and then took up lecturing, and then studied lecturing, and now just on the side lecture, and I do the Old Mutual for some pennies, and I do this still, so this is 7 years of it. That's a nutshell.
So when did you become AC?
Was it last Thursday? I grew up in a Christian home, but I just did my own thing in Taiwan. And then I came back in 2nd of January. I guess I got baptized 2010.
Nice.
And been walking the road, trying.
You're doing a good job.
And you've been married now how long?
3 years in December, so 4 years next December.
So it's not, it's just
3 years, 2 months.
Exactly, the 15th. It was 2 months, a year and 2 months, 4 days ago, 3 days ago.
do you have children?
No, you asked him yesterday.
Ah, yeah, well.
Now we have a few health complications, so no, we don't.
You can't have.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would just say complications, just put it that way.
Yeah.
On God's timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hello. You can edit that out. My wife's not watching. Just playing adverts.
Don't worry, we're just broadcasting.